evening. I just want to thank you all for bearing with us in this much smaller venue than usual. As many of you know, we usually have our Peace and Justice events in McCarthy, which is about 3 times this size. And as you can see, we really need a venue that big. But I just ask you to make yourselves as comfortable as possible, and we hope to provide a really enthralling event for you to take your mind off the close quarters. Can you hear us? Yes. Okay. All right then. Well, good evening and welcome to the first Peace and Justice event of our 2009-2010 academic year. I'm Lori Gonde, the director of the Underdyke Center of Peace and Justice, and I am really happy to welcome you all. And before we get started, I would like to take a minute to thank our co-sponsor, who is this evening Vermonters for a Just Peace in Israel and Palestine. And in particular, I'd like to thank one person from that group, Mark H. Mark, do you want to stand up? Mark is responsible for coming up with the idea for this debate, which you have to admit was a great idea, and he also actually invited our speakers, Omar Barghouti and Stephen Scheinberg. So now we can give them a big round of applause. The Underdyke Center for Peace and Justice, based on the principles of Catholic social teaching, welcomes dialogue on how to apply these principles to concrete situations. The issue tonight is how to restore dignity to the Palestinian people by ending Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories. Is the boycotts, divestment, and sanctions movement a fair and effective way to do this, or not? In an attempt to do justice to both sides of the issue, we've invited Omar Barghouti, a leading spokesperson of the BDS movement, and Stephen Scheinberg, a Zionist who works for peace between Israelis and Palestinians, to have a debate. In their exchanges, we hope that proponents of both sides will learn something from the opposing point of view. Moderating our debate and introducing our speakers is someone well known to the St. Michael's community. Bill Wilson, Professor Emeritus in Political Science and currently teaching a first-year seminar in Global Studies, was Vice President for Academic Affairs for 3 years, following a teaching career that spanned 35 years after college. During that time, he established a reputation among his colleagues for fair-mindedness and what they admiringly refer to as an understated leadership style. A graduate of the Air Force Academy, Bill served in Vietnam, where he won a Bronze Star Medal, and also discovered a love of teaching. Returning home, he earned an MA and PhD from Tufts University and was on to St. Michael's. But he never forgot the Vietnamese people. Over the years, he has returned to Vietnam numerous times to teach and promote reconciliation. As a professor of political science, Bill won the Student Faculty Appreciation Award for Excellence in Teaching and was influential enough that in 2007, a former student established an endowed scholarship to honor Bill's mentorship, friendship, and leadership. Along with leadership and teaching, community service is another hallmark of Bill's career. He's been president of the Vermont Council on World Affairs and chair of the Vermont Council on the Humanities. At St. Michael's, he won the Community Service Award twice and the DuPont Award for Outstanding Contributions to the college community 3 times. In 2008, he won Vermont Campus Compact's highest honor, the Campus Leadership for Civic Engagement Award, for his efforts to advance service learning at St. Michael's. Despite all these accomplishments, perhaps most relevant to his role in the debate tonight is the fact that Bill Wilson has been moderator of the Underhill Town Meeting for the past 17 years. Although technically retired, he plans to continue in that role, and we plan to keep him very busy with events like this at St. Michael's.
Yeah, Bill.
The town moderator position is elected, and I am reminded frequently by neighbors I'm only as good as my last meeting. Few areas of the contemporary world are as contentious as that region we call the Middle East. And while it invites our attention, its complexity often turns many away. Our challenge this evening is to engage you meaningfully so that you can leave with a greater understanding and interest. There are two elements to our design. First, we framed a narrow focus for our consideration. And second, we'll engage the issue through the format of debate, as opposed to a panel discussion, lecture, or otherwise. As I thought about it this summer, I was drawn to a book which captured long discussions between Daniel Berenbaum and Edward Said. It was about music and society. Daniel Berenbaum is a Jew who holds Israeli citizenship. He is regarded as one of the greatest pianists of the century and an extraordinary conductor. He is perhaps most famous for his work with the West Eastern Divan Orchestra, which features Arab and Jewish musicians. Edward Said, a Palestinian who died in 2003, was a distinguished literary theorist and cultural critic at Columbia University. In their discussions of music and society, they always recognized the importance of understanding one another, both in what they shared and what separated. Edward Said noted, quote, "We have different views of the history of the part of the world from which we both come. There is some value in keeping distinct, different views of history without collapsing them into one another. And I think this tension can be healthy rather than unhealthy. I don't think it's necessary that everyone should agree as long as there's a mutual acknowledgement that a different point of view exists. That's the important bit. We must have respect for each other's views and tolerate each other's histories. So the idea of different but intertwined histories is crucial to a discussion, without necessarily resolving them into each other." These are wise words, I think, and they certainly guided our work in framing the debate. For the first element of focus, the question is as follows. Boycotts, divestment, and sanctions are an effective and fair means to end Israel's 1967 occupation of the Palestinian territory. 3 notes on this. Note, the resolution narrows the consideration to ending Israeli occupation of territory. Note, the resolution focuses on whether the nonviolent options of boycotts, divestment, and sanctions are both effective and fair. Note, the options discussed recognize the emerging importance of individuals and non-government organizations, the so-called civil society, in playing an active role in international matters, particularly those regarding peace and justice. Second, the element of format. Debates are highly structured exercises in which sides argue for and against a question, constrained by time and procedure. Such a format helps to preserve the healthy tension that Edward Said had advocated. Accordingly, after an initial 15-minute presentation by each side, there will be 10 minutes of rebuttal for each side, and finally, each side will have 5 minutes of conclusion. And in order to provide you, the audience, with the opportunity to ask questions, we reserved approximately 30 minutes for questions and answers at the end. We have distributed some articles and a bibliography that has been provided to us, which will help you as you carry forward your interest in this subject. And now for our speakers. For the affirmative, Mr. Omar Barghouti. Mr. Barghouti is an independent Palestinian researcher, commentator on human rights and human rights activism. He is a founding member of the Palestinian Campaign for the Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel, and a leader of the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Campaign against Israel. He holds bachelor's and master's degrees from Columbia University, and he's written extensively on political and cultural affairs on diverse subjects from Iraq to Palestine to contemporary dance. The negative, Dr. Stephen Scheinberg. Dr. Scheinberg is Professor Emeritus of History at Concordia College in Montreal. He has written on Canadian-American relations, anti-Semitism, and the extreme right. Professor Scheinberg has always been a political activist, identifying early with the civil rights protests and the anti-Vietnam War movements. He was an editor of Studies on the Left, one of the first journals of the American New Left, and also served as chair of the University of Wisconsin Socialist Club. In Montreal's